All right. We got him. Wait. Hands on.
Hands on. Get him. I've got his mouth. Get the tail.
One hand on mouth.
Get his tail.
Tail.
All right. Teabag.
Wait. I'm gonna check.
Correct.
This one's a female.
Oh.
We got it. All right.
You just assumed a gender, mate. You wasn't pissed at that.
All right. This is too good. Okay.
Yep. I got it. Yep.
You ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh.
Oh, she's fine. Mate.
Oh God.
There, mate.
Oh. I think I just broke your neck. I think I just straight up broke your neck, mate.
I'm good, mate. Just caught my teeth together a little bit, but I'm good, mate.
Woo!
Like John Cena in his prime.
Oh. Hi guys.
Hey, what's up? Oh wow, hey.
Oh, we didn't see you. We were just doing our latest reenactment.
Oh wow.
What it's like in the Australian wild.
She's a beaut. She is.
She's a beaut. Real Sheila. Oh man.
Oh wow. Hey, what's up, dude?
Welcome to Jacob's Jail.
Yeah.
It's another normal day here.
Yeah, precisely.
Practicing our social distancing with the crocodile.
Exactly. Yep.
Not very good at it. Those eyes. Oh man.
Oh wow.
We have a reason for being crocodile hunters.
We do.
It's because of the Crocodile Hunter.
It is. Yes. Joseph, would you say that's kind of been our quarantine show as of late?
It has. There's something about the mystical essence of Steve Irwin has taken us back to a beautiful, better time, an idyllic life, where the world is just full of dangerous things that want to kill you.
And
But you're
Steve
fine anyway.
picks them up.
He doesn't just pick them up. He dive bombs.
He does. There's a fantastic clip where, Terry. So there's a piece of wood on this thing. I got this out of my attic like 5 minutes ago. Good little Sheila roll, yeah. But there's a part where we were watching an episode on YouTube just to refresh ourselves before we get into this.
So good.
That's how we learned how to check for male or female, and then cover the eyes, grab the mouth, get around to have mouth, and
hand on mouth.
Yep.
Two hands on mouth.
Two hands on mouth. But yeah, there's a great part where Terry, Steve Irwin's wife, is just narrating. She's like, looks like they found an injured crocodile in the wild. It needs some help. There's only one thing to do. And like a split second later, Steve Irwin is just flat out.
I mean, it is like
diving,
complete horizontal to the water, just.
And I know it's not meant to be that way, but the comedic timing of him just whoa, like that is brilliant. It's brilliant.
The Crocodile Hunter show, which is what we're talking about, if you hadn't figured out by us referencing Steve Irwin and crocodiles and wrestling crocodiles and the Fortnite dancing crocodile we got there. Yep. Here, you ready? This is our new friend here.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see if you can just.
There we go.
There it is.
Cover the eyes. Boy or girl. Oh, it's got a tail.
I'm glad to know our crocodile has a tail.
Yeah. Just in case you were wondering.
But, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Steve Irwin is a masterpiece of a man.
Oh yeah.
Gave us, not only was he a conservationist and all that, but he gave us a decade of entertainment, unlike any other, even other animal shows, just could not replicate or be Steve Irwin.
Mm-mm.
And it's just
he was as I was saying, he was different. Like there's one where he's like sprinting in to the water, like he's like, there's a snake in the water, and he like takes off full on sprint and just dives out of it. He was sending it before everybody else was.
Oh man, and the best thing, like Steve, like you realize, you hear people talk about like, oh man, so dangerous, the things he's doing right there with the crocs. But you forget, unless you really just rewatch, which I would encourage you to do, just rewatch an episode, like how utterly just brazen and fearless this guy was. He's in the American Bayou, like in the Everglades, kind of all that stuff. And he sees a water moccasin, cottonmouth, and he just straight up goes up to it. It's like freaking out. It's getting in the S position. It is showing off its mouth. It's like looking at him. He's like,
pissed.
"It's okay, man. It's okay. Hold this." And he just like kind of grabs it, and he's, like, he's just like, "It doesn't matter. It's fine." He picks up a water mouth.
You're all right, mate.
Right.
You're all right, you little snake. You're all right.
I mean, this thing is like booking it away from him. He finally catches it, grabs its tail. It like immediately lashes back at him. He dodges like a pro.
Yeah, like,
and then just ends up giving us this like 5-minute monologue, holding a cottonmouth ready to bite at any second.
I think the animals sometimes when he picks him up are so confused by what he's doing. Because imagine you're an animal, and you're just a snake, mind your own business. You're a cottonmouth. That's how snakes move.
No.
Hiss. Okay, and then this Australian man in mid-thigh shorts and boots comes out and grabs you, goes, "Look at this world!" And there's some ballsy cameraman like this, and you're the snake. You're just
Snake's over here, just like,
what is going on? Yeah. What do I? And I was like,
Right.
what do I do? Do I
Doesn't
bite that guy? Do I let him go? Like, what is it? Do I let him finish? I don't know what to do. And that's how
he's
snakes sound.
giving a good commentary. Here.
Yes.
He's talking about my
It's all
social
these
life.
humans, everything about me, knows what gender I am. I don't even, like, this is crazy. This guy knows everything. I wanted to let him finish. Then I was going to bite him in the neck, but it was fine.
Yeah, he let me go, and we were all good. Like, it's just easy peasy. Good transaction of ideas.
He found my brother Dale later in the day. He picked him up, did the same thing. Found out Dale was a female. Didn't know that before.
Didn't know that before. Oh, man.
That was a tangent.
That was the best kind of tangent you could hope for.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's impressive to me how much information can be distilled in such a casual, free way. Like, we kind of forget. I feel like education, entertainment has become such like a running joke now.
Yeah.
But like, there is such a thing, and it can be good too. Like,
Yeah.
I would watch that. I would watch an episode of Crocodile Hunter almost any time.
And the thing is, so what actually inspired this episode, today is March 24th. I was watching it this morning, and I called you because I was free this afternoon, wanted to get together and record. And there was a moment, I was calling you, and I was watching Crocodile Hunter, and he was somewhere in Africa, and he got his hand into this large thorn bush, and there was a splinter that, I kid you not, was about as long as my finger in his hand, and he goes, "Okay, mate, look at this right here. Let me show you something." Gets tweezers, pulls that junk out, and he's like, "Look at that deadly plant." And like, I was like, what is this guy? I forgot. I hadn't seen it in so long. I was like, this dude just like...
The biggest thing I learned was like his utter just... And I already knew it a little bit, but like you forget how much he just tolerated pain. And didn't just tolerate it, like completely blew it off.
His physicality is
oh my
what's
gosh.
so impressive too. Like when he was back in the Everglades, picked up that turtle that was probably close to 100 pounds.
He picks up an alligator snapping turtle, which according to the internet, which we all know is faultless and pure, weighs about 175 pounds on average.
Now that may have not been...
It may not have been that but it's that type of turtle.
It was probably 100+ pound turtle, and he just... "Oh, it's okay, mate." He poked it with a stick first, which I love. He was like, "Something rock on in there." And then goes in and goes, "You okay, mate? You okay?" And then turns around and he's like, "Look at this." And this is a turtle the size of a car.
He's like in waist deep water at like this awkward like positioning, and he's just like whirling this thing around. This giant snapping turtle that's just like...
He holds it like I hold a Wii steering wheel, right?
He really is.
Yeah, that's like, it's crazy. The guy, you don't think about these like wrestling alligators. Dude was probably incredibly freaking strong. Doesn't look like Dwayne The Rock Johnson either.
It's pure lean muscle.
It's
amazing.
The guy, his physicality, I think that also helped with him just being like,
oh, this alligator, he bit me, mate. Look at that. He
Literally,
got a hold of me.
the episode we watched, he goes after this gator. It is a young gator, so it's not like it was biting his arm off. But as he's wrestling it, he's just like, oh, it got me. And it pulls the camera, it shows, and his like forearm is like here, and here. It's just like, bite.
Yeah.
And it's like bleeding profusely.
He got me there,
He's
didn't
like,
he? Like, you got me, didn't you? He's like talking to him. He's like, you got me, didn't you? And the alligator's probably like, what the heck is wrong with this guy?
And you think about his wife, Terry, is just kind of like, oh yeah, I did get you. It's like she's so nonplussed at this point. She's so used to this. Every other day, probably, you have to deal with something biting her husband. Like,
yeah, I was like, yeah, he got a hold of you, didn't he? She's from Oregon, by the way.
Which is perfect.
Yeah, it's really, it was Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oregon,
yeah. So like, she's like just American, and he's like, oh, he got a hold of me, mate. She's like, he got a hold of you pretty good there.
It's got like, a little bit of that twinge to it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Oh man,
it was great though. Like and as I said, we sat here and watched that episode of it before we went to record this, and you just you forget how awesome of a show it was. And I think part of my love of animals, I've always been like, I've held like a boa, like one of those like 4-foot boas, and they're gentle snakes apparently, but like I like snakes.
Oh my gosh, snakes are so cool.
I like animals, and I'm not one of those people like doesn't think you should eat a cow. Cows are delicious. I love cows. Don't get mad at me. But like I really like animals, like a lot of wildlife, and I think part of that comes from him. Because you imagine how many kids must have watched this guy. Like I watched him every morning. Yeah, every morning before I went to school. Watch Crocodile Hunter with my dad. Come home from school, there would be reruns. Sometimes the ones that came on that morning, I would watch them again. And like a lot of kids, as you as well, we grew up with Crocodile Hunter. It was like the Wiggles and Crocodile Hunter, and like
I literally saw on the wiki he appeared in an episode of the Wiggles. Apparently,
that's the most. Those guys are Australian too. Last time I checked,
total sense. Yeah, makes total sense.
Man, Australia had such a great impact on our childhood, right?
Fruit salad.
Fruit salad.
Oh, we got a good fruit salad here, mate.
I love me some mashed banana.
Get you some Vegemite in your system.
Snapping turtles love mashed banana.
Going back to the snapping turtle, there was another one that he was holding. And again, the pure razor's edge he played with danger.
Yes.
This snapping turtle took a go at him while he's holding it. And they played the replay. This thing's neck extended and did its full snap about here, aiming for his jugular.
Right? A turtle knew where to go.
This snapping turtle tried to bite off this man's jugular and got centimeters away from it.
And Steve was just like, whoa, did you see that? And I was like, bro, jeez.
You almost died right there, and you just blew it off like nothing happened.
Literally they showed the replay, and he's like that. The turtle's like here, and then it cut. The next frame is him like, whoo, did you see that? And I'm just like, this guy.
Bless you, sir.
You don't like. He's just awesome. Like that.
He is like the definition of man. Like,
right. Like he's so I know some people like criticize him for being really crazy, but it's like, what would the world have been like? And well, we've kind of seen what the world had been like because he died in like 2008, right, or something like that. It's been over 10 years now. But what would the world have been like without like his show?
The influences.
Yeah. Without his touch on the world, a lot of like, I don't think he was like, one of those like, oh, I don't eat animals at all.
No.
He's probably had a good stake in his life, right? But like the animal rights that he helped build up, the conservation methods, which are worldwide celebrated now. Like
he was not your traditional, like extremely, don't, because I feel like we're in the very like don't touch kind of mode.
Yeah. And
he was so opposite of that, but was still so caring and intensive about each croc. And like every episode, he talks about the specific qualities of every croc that you see and why they're moving or doing this to keep it from whatever, to keep the ecosystem in balance so that they can move this over. Like, he clearly put so much passion into what he was doing, and it's so cool to see that. And it's really a very refreshing thing to see such a clear passion for and lack of malice and just pure goodness trying to accomplish these things.
And he knows that they're dangerous and that they've killed people as well, and he's cautious, but it's more of like a, get close, learn. You share the planet with these animals, learn more about them, get into their environment, step into their metaphorical shoes, right? Like, and I think
but
that's
be
so
respectful
cool.
of the fact that that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and he always I'm a professional. I've been doing this since I was a fetus. Don't try this at home.
Quite literally.
Right?
And I've already got my daughter, my son on the way training. You see, you got, criticize it or not, he has his 1-year-old daughter, at the time 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Just on his shoulders as going through the Everglades, and it's so easy to be like, oh my goodness, you shouldn't do that. But then alternatively, when you look at his life and his history of upbringing, that's pretty much how he was raised. He was raised in a family of wildlife experts.
Yeah, no,
and
for sure.
I was reading up on him, literally when he was 9 was when he first started wrestling crocodiles.
Under his dad's supervision. So his dad's
all right, son.
All right, Steve, you going right there, boy. Good job. I got him tied. That's just...
Cover his eyes, son. Is it a male or a female?
Check that gender, boy.
He checked 5 different crocodiles' genders in one episode.
It was, yeah.
And it just always just take a second. It's oh, yeah, that's a male.
That's a male right there, yeah.
See, his eyes kind of look up for a second. You can tell he's kind of
he's thinking he's feeling,
through, you know?
Yeah. Oh
man.
But you learn so much from his show, and it's hey, biology teachers out there, whatever kind of if you're learning about reptiles, watch Crocodile Hunter. If you're learning about a certain location, find that episode of Crocodile Hunter.
People love it. You can never get enough of Steve Irwin.
Yeah, really.
You really can't.
We sat here and learned a lot about crocodiles.
Yeah.
And alligators while we were sitting here watching this episode. You learn a lot, and I think it's really... We sit here and we fake wrestle this stuffed gator at the start of this show, but it's really the show itself, you really don't... You forget until you watch another episode how much he did and how really fun it was to watch all of it, and interesting too, and we do the Australian accents and stuff, we're making fun of it. Legit, I love the show.
It's totally not making fun of it at all. It's such an embrace of everything that was happening there.
Yeah.
Just utterly defining of a generation, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
One of the, there are some shows that are just directly tied to an era and something. And I think The Crocodile Hunter is one of those iconic shows that just will never be separated from that moment in history, that decade of history.
Yeah, and you look at the TV and the guy has a gator in a headlock. He's like, look at his teeth, right? They're inches from my face. And as a little kid, you're like, I want to be him. I want to be Steve Irwin. Is what you're thinking as a little kid sitting there watching this stuff.
Good reason too.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that was just... wanted to pay tribute to this absolute beast of a man that there's nothing there's no particular holiday or anything coming up, but just in this time of isolation it felt good to feel connected to a show and connected to this time of life that we experience that in.
Yeah, for sure. So and for real though, I scrolling through TV recently, that there's been a lot of Crocodile Hunter on. There's been a lot of old shows, old movies. So, Joseph and I really kind of rekindled our love for Crocodile Hunter today and over the past couple days for sure. But we encourage you to go out and watch an old show or an old movie, relive those memories. And the
You've
people,
got the time right now.
Who doesn't? But relive those memories, relive those times, and reconnect with, the people like Steve Irwin, who, really, not saying it as a cliche at all, made this earth a better place, for sure. Had a huge impact on the planet. There was nobody, generally sometimes when a celebrity passes away, there's,
this like, oh, man, but he did this in his life, but he was kind of a scumbag.
Right.
Everybody was in tears the day Steve Irwin died, man.
So I feel like Steve Irwin's on the same, like, you have like Mr. Rogers and like Steve Irwin. It's like I feel like they're kind of in that same like platform.
Just like you can't hate them.
Right.
Like they just did so much good. And that was Steve Irwin. I remember I was actually at the lake when I learned the day that it came out on the news that Steve Irwin had passed away. And like I was actually, I don't know if I cried, but I was actually like I was just like
you
I was
super
like,
shook.
wait, what the heck? And that was when I was like young. It was 2008, so you know I was only like 11. I think 2008 is when he died. Don't get me wrong. I think
So
you can
weird.
confirm.
Yeah, well, no, but it's so crazy, like to think how young we were.
Yeah, but it's like you don't, at that point in time, you really don't understand death fully. You don't understand somebody is no longer living, breathing, talking, anything like that. You don't really understand death, so you're like, I literally was, shook.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I felt that morning. So, go back, watch those shows, relive some times with some heroes like Steve Irwin. Go back and watch some Crocodile Hunter.
Watch some good old international heroes of the world. So it's our encouragement of the day. I do also want to say, as we are still in this coronavirus time, thank you to all the healthcare, all the essential service.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit of a tangent, but we're talking about heroes of the world, and
absolutely,
y'all are saving the world.
Nurses,
from
doctors, and people who are still working in restaurants,
all the
those
essential services.
Look, our pizza was an hour late.
It wasn't an hour late. It was like 30 minutes late.
Yeah,
but
I still tipped the guy really well. It was a very good freaking pizza. Shout out to Papa John's today.
Papa
Papa, yeah.
I'm gonna get you to watch it.
Yeah, you are. You are now, for sure. But everybody is, I think, working so hard. It has been one of those things where it's like all of us have really kind of come together despite differences and even political differences. Come together to this thing's bad. We need to stop it. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you to all the healthcare workers working so hard, testing patients and doing all that stuff. We appreciate it.
I tip my hat to you.
You're right there. This croc waves by to you. Or hi to you. I don't know. We closing this out, mate?
Probably.
Okay, good. All right.
So I'd like to remind everybody to go wrestle some gators. Go. If you got a Sheila at home, I don't know where I'm going with that.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, a
Hold
Sheila
your
gator.
Sheila tight.
I don't know. People say that kind of thing. I don't know.
Hug your Sheilas and your Sheilettes. All of them.
What is a Sheilette? I don't know, dude. Man. Either way, just
check if the mail.
Either way, y'all. We love you. Stay beautiful.
Oh, mate, she's waking up. Oh, grab the tail. Get the tail, mate. Get the tail.
Yeah, wait.
Okay. All right, ready to move. She's moving. She's getting royal again. Get the roll. No. Don't bring it to subscribe. Subscribe to Jangles Jay. Watch all our other videos.
No.
We'll see you next time.